Welcome to Health 2660. Here we don't just talk about health, we tell the stories that heal. Now please listen to the story. His blood sugar spiked that morning, a belligerent 185 glaring back at him from the little screen. Raymond sighed, the sound like air leaking from a punctured tire. 65 years old, and this was his daily grind, wake, prick, poke worry. The diabetes wasn't just a disease. It was a demanding roommate, constantly reminding him who was in charge. He shuffled into the kitchen, the linoleum cold against his socked feet. Lucky his ginger tabby wound around his ankles, meowing a plaintive song for breakfast. All right, Raymond muttered, scooping kibble into the cat's bowl. You and me both, buddy. Gotta keep the engine running somehow. The coffee was brewing its bitter aroma, a small comfort. Black, no sugar, of course. Everything was, of course, these days. Of course, no dessert. Of course, walk twice around the block. Of course, take the pills. Of course, the numbers creep higher anyway. He slumped into his usual chair at the kitchen table, the morning sun casting long shadows across the room. He felt defeated. Beaten down, not by a grand dramatic battle, but by a slow, insidious attrition. He was losing inch by agonizing inch. Linda, his neighbor, was a splash of vibrant color in a world that seemed to be fading to gray. She was always out in her garden, a whirlwind of energy, an earth coaxing life from the soil. Raymond envied her, that simple, grounded joy. He used to garden too, tomatoes mostly. He loved the sweet, acidic burst of a homegrown tomato warmed by the sun. But now even that felt like a Herculean effort. The bending, the kneeling, the endless weeding. His body just couldn't keep up. He remembered the day he'd finally given up the tomato plants. It felt like more than just abandoning a hobby. It felt like surrendering a piece of himself, a piece of his vitality. Linda, bless her heart, always tried to cheer him up. She'd wave over the fence, offer him clippings from her rose bushes, share stories of her latest garden triumphs. He appreciated the gesture, even if he couldn't quite reciprocate the enthusiasm. That morning, though, her concern seemed deeper than usual. Raymond, you look awful, she'd said, her brow furrowed, like you haven't slept in a week. He managed a weak smile. Just the sugar. It's been acting up again. Linda pursed her lips. I might have something that could help. He'd been skeptical, of course. He'd tried everything, or so it felt. Every diet, every supplement, every home remedy the internet had to offer. Nothing had made a lasting difference. But there was something about Linda's earnestness, her genuine care, that made him willing to listen. That's when she'd brought over the amber-colored concoction, apple cider vinegar. He'd grimaced at the first sip, the sharp, tangy taste assaulting his tongue. It tasted like, well, it tasted like vinegar. But he trusted Linda, and he was desperate. He started drinking it a teaspoon, mixed in a glass of water twice a day before meals. He braced himself for the unpleasant taste, focusing on Linda's words. Just give it a try. What do you have to lose? He also, almost sheepishly, looked up the YouTube video she'd mentioned. It was slickly produced, full of smiling people and vibrant visuals. He usually dismissed that kind of thing as snake oil, but the testimonials, they were compelling. He saw people like him, older folks struggling with the same issues, claiming dramatic improvements from simple, natural remedies. He remained cautious, very cautious. He wasn't about to throw out his medication or abandon his doctor's advice. But he figured, what harm could a little green tea do? Or a squeeze of lemon in his water? He started small, adding one new drink at a time. The green tea replaced his second cup of coffee its earthy flavor a surprisingly pleasant change. The lemon water sipped before his morning walk felt cleansing. He felt strangely hydrated, energized. The cinnamon and clove tea, brewed in the evenings, was his way of unwinding. He'd sit on his porch, watching the stars, the warm, fragrant tea soothing his stomach and calming his mind. He found himself breathing deeper, noticing the small details he'd been missing, the chirping of crickets, the rustling of leaves, the gentle glow of the moon. He started paying attention to his body again, listening to its signals. He realized he'd been ignoring them for so long, numbing himself with routine and resignation. He'd been treating his body like a machine, fueling it with pills and bland food demanding it perform without offering it any real nourishment. He rediscovered the pleasure of food not as a source of guilt and restriction, but as a source of nourishment and enjoyment. He started experimenting with new recipes, focusing on fresh vegetables, lean protein, and healthy fats. He didn't deprive himself, but he made conscious choices savoring each bite. The changes were subtle at first, almost imperceptible. He slept better. His digestion improved. He felt less bloated and sluggish. But then the numbers started to shift. 102. He couldn't believe it. He pricked his finger again, just to be sure. 102. It was the lowest he'd seen his blood sugar in months. He felt a surge of hope, a fragile, tentative feeling he hadn't experienced in a long time. He continued with his new routine, the apple cider vinegar, the green tea, the lemon water, the cinnamon, and clove tea. He walked more, he ate better, he slept deeper, and the numbers kept improving. 97. He stared at the meter, his heart pounding in his chest. 97. He felt like he'd won the lottery. Or maybe even better, he felt like he'd finally taken control of his own health. He didn't tell anyone at first. He was afraid to jinx it, afraid that the progress would vanish as quickly as it had appeared. He kept it to himself, a secret source of hope and motivation. But then one afternoon, while he was weeding his overgrown flower beds, he realized something profound. He hadn't needed to sit down and rest. His knees didn't ache the same way. His breath wasn't as shallow. He felt stronger. That's when he knew. This wasn't just a fluke. This wasn't just a temporary improvement. This was a real, lasting change. He was reclaiming his life. He called his doctor, made an appointment. He was nervous, but also excited. He couldn't wait to share his news, to show her the numbers to prove that he was finally turning things around. The doctor was impressed, genuinely impressed. She reviewed his chart, her eyebrows rising slightly. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it," she said. "Your A1C has dropped significantly, and you've lost 7 pounds since your last visit." Raymond beamed a wide, genuine smile that reached his eyes. "No new meds?" he asked, almost afraid to hear the answer. She shook her head. "Not for now. Just keep up the routine." He left the doctor's office feeling like a new man. He was lighter, both physically and emotionally. He was no longer a prisoner of his diabetes. He was in control. He knew he still had a long way to go. He knew there would be setbacks, challenges days, when the numbers would creep up again. But he also knew that he had the tools to manage it, the knowledge to make informed choices, and the support of his neighbor Linda. That evening, he brewed a pitcher of lemon and ginger kale juice, a concoction he'd adapted from one of the YouTube videos. He poured a glass for Linda, walked over to her house, and knocked on her door. She opened the door, her face lighting up when she saw him. "Raymond." What a pleasant surprise. He held out the glass of juice. A little something to say thank you. She raised an eyebrow, a playful glint in her eyes. Returning the favor, he smiled. Let's call it even. Also, I owe you more than just one glass. They sat in her garden, the sun setting the sky ablaze with color. They talked about their gardens, their health, their lives. Raymond felt a connection to Linda, a sense of shared experience and mutual support. I thought I'd live with this disease forever, he said quietly, like it was a sentence, not a condition. Linda looked at him, her voice soft. Sometimes we just need someone to remind us that our bodies can still heal, if we give them the right tools. Raymond nodded, his eyes welling up with tears. He was grateful for Linda, for her kindness, her wisdom, her unwavering belief in the power of natural healing. He was grateful for the apple cider vinegar, the green tea, the lemon water, the cinnamon and clove tea. But most of all, he was grateful for the hope that had been rekindled within him. He still drinks his vinegar water every day. It's become a part of his routine, a reminder of his journey, a symbol of his commitment to his health. It's not a miracle cure, but it's a simple, effective tool that helps him manage his blood sugar and live a healthier, happier life. He still has his challenges, his ups and downs, but he faces them with a new sense of confidence and resilience. He knows that he's not alone, that he has the support of his doctor, his neighbor, and most importantly, his own inner strength. He's learned that aging doesn't have to mean falling apart. It can mean growing stronger, wiser, and more connected to yourself and the world around you. It can mean embracing the power of natural healing and taking control of your own story. Raymond started volunteering at a local community garden, sharing his knowledge and experience with others. He teaches people how to grow their own vegetables, how to prepare healthy meals, and how to use natural remedies to manage their health conditions. He finds joy in helping others discover the same hope and healing that he has found. He even planted a few tomato plants in his backyard again. They're thriving, bursting with juicy red fruit. He savors each bite, a reminder of the simple pleasures of life and the power of perseverance. Raymond's journey is far from over. He knows that he will continue to face challenges and that he will need to remain vigilant in his efforts to manage his diabetes. But he also knows that he is stronger now than he has ever been, both physically and mentally. He's learned that the key to living a long and healthy life is to never stop learning, never stop growing, and never stop believing in the power of hope. And now, even Lucky seems to benefit, getting a daily dose of cat-friendly veggies sprinkled into his kibble, ensuring his own continued health and well-being. But a nagging question remains, one Raymond hasn't quite been able to shake: if such simple natural remedies could have such a profound impact, what other hidden potential lies dormant within us, waiting to be unlocked? And more importantly, who else could benefit from this knowledge, if only they knew where to look?
Raymond's apple, cider vinegar, recipe, Raymond's daily drink that helped him manage his blood sugar. Apple, cider, vinegar, drink. Ingredients: 1 teaspoon, organic apple cider, vinegar with the mother, 200 milliliters of warm or room temperature water. Optional: a slice of lemon or a few drops of lemon juice. Instructions: mix the vinegar into the water and stir well. Drink this 10 to 15 minutes before meals, once or twice a day. Do not drink undiluted vinegar directly, as it may irritate the stomach or teeth. Raymond found this simple routine, combined with healthier eating and other herbal teas, to be a powerful turning point in his diabetes journey.
Health 2660. Thanks you for listening. We'll see you in the next video, and until then, be kind to yourself.